Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to go into my testimony. I feel like I have not done a video talking about like how I came to know the Lord and how I went from unbeliever to believer and all of that stuff, and like how I built my relationship with God to where it is now. I genuinely feel like I've just avoided that. And I think that's mainly because like telling testimonies, I think feels so weighty, because you have to kind of go back and recall and remember like the places that you were in and all of that stuff. So I'm gonna attempt to do that this video. I am still very pregnant. So I am choosing to be comfortable in today's video. Just got my sweat shorts on. A tank and my blanket. So let's get into it. So I ended up getting saved when I was 19, and leading up to that time I was very much in and out of relationships. I literally had a steady boyfriend since I had been in grade 7. So just to kind of give you guys a little bit more information, like when I was in grade 7, I was dating this guy. We dated for like 2 years. Then I was in grade 9, then I dated this other guy for like a couple months. Then I ended up dating this other guy in like grade 10 for another 2 years. And then we were kind of like on and off until like university. And then I ended up dating this other guy. And then, guys, literally I can't even like remember the specific details, but I literally stayed in a relationship always. Like I was always in a relationship. And that was mainly because like I didn't think that I was valuable apart from somebody. I just loved just being with somebody. I felt like being with someone meant that I didn't have to be alone with my thoughts. I didn't really have to like go really deep into like who Ave is. Like I could just spend all my time going deep into who this other person is, and I would just have moments where it would just be like, if I was like laying in bed and my mind was going to a place that I didn't want it to go, or I was like thinking about something I didn't want to think about, I would like call up my boyfriend. And that literally went on for years until I was in university. And I remember distinctly one day I was walking home, and in university I was just wild. I was living off campus, I was drinking, I was partying like almost every night. I was in the club almost every night. Me and my friends were just like living our best lives, and I was having a good time, or at least I thought I was. And I remember I was just walking home one day from class, I think it was, and I remember thinking to myself, I have a job, I am in a good school, I have so many friends, I have a boyfriend. Like I was thinking about all of the things that like a girl of that age should like be happy to have. And I remember being like grateful for what I had, like my friends, my job, my boyfriend, and all that stuff. But I also remember thinking to myself, but why do I still feel empty? And I remember just confronting that within myself for the first time in years. And I was walking home and I was just thinking about that, like, why do I still feel empty? I have all of the things that I should have. Why do I feel this way? And I just remember like pushing it back to my mind, like whatever, like didn't really think about it further than that. I didn't even take the time to explore like why I felt empty, and I just continued living my life. Anyway, I had this like really terrible habit of like cheating on my boyfriends because I was just like not a healthy individual at that time. And I remember that kind of led to like this relationship ending with this guy that I was with. Like it ended our relationship, and I remember wanting to get back with him, but he didn't want to get back with me, and he was just like really hurt by like how I had like acted towards the ending of that relationship, and he just wouldn't give me another chance. And I remember that broke me. It was over. Like I was so broken, I was so hurt. I first handled it by like doing more drinking, more partying, more sleeping around, and I still just couldn't like find it within myself to feel good, obviously, because I was looking to all of these external things to fulfill me, and obviously it just wasn't meant to, you know. I literally had a God-sized void in my heart, and I didn't know that the only thing that could satisfy and fill that void was him. And I was just looking to so many different things to do that. And I remember just one day I went home. I was like away from school at the time, and I ended up going home for the weekend. And I was with my mom and my mom's friend, and we were all in the car, and I was just sad. You know, my mom, like, she knew about the relationship ending. She knew that I was going through a hard time, and like, she would help me. Like, she would try to encourage me. She would like pray for me. She would tell me like, Ave, you know, like, try to get your mind off of it, like work out, you know, like go like have fun with your friends, like go do all these other things, so that your mind isn't only on this like broken relationship and like where you're at right now, because I was just like straight up sad. And I remember my family friend at the time, she invited me to church, and she was like, you know, we're having a youth conference, you should come. And she had 3 daughters that I just absolutely loved, and I was like, okay, like it can't hurt to be around them. I didn't feel hopeful about church, because I had grown up in church my whole life, but I just never connected with anything that they were teaching, anything that they were saying. And honestly, the demographic of my church for many years, the church that I grew up in, it was just like a lot of older folks and like just people that I couldn't relate to. So I didn't see Christians that were my age that were living this thing out. Like, it just seemed so abstract. It seemed like it was like an old people religion, basically. Like, that's kind of how I thought about it. And I was like, I believe in God. I believe he's there. But this whole idea of like, you can't have sex before marriage, like you can't have all of these other things, like I was stuck on. And I was just like, it just didn't make sense to me. I'm like, this seems so outdated. Like, does God really care about that? And I just didn't have a good understanding. And I think I also didn't have the best teaching, you know? And seeing my mom, who was so strong in the faith, I also had this strong resolve within me that I was never going to be a Christian if it meant that I couldn't do it like my mom. Like, I held my mom to the standard where I was like, she's doing it right. Like, she actually loves the Lord. I see her living this thing out. She actually has a prayer life. She's actually a kind, you know, good-hearted woman. Like, this woman truly is living this life of being a Christian. And I just didn't think that I had it in me to live it like that. And because of that, that was another thing why I was like, I'm just not even going to go down that road. So anyway, back to my family friend inviting me to this conference. I ended up going. I ended up sleeping over for the weekend with her daughters, and we all just had a good time. Like, we really got to reconnect, because we hadn't like been seeing each other a lot around that time in my life too. So it had been a few years. So we really got to reconnect, and I got to see girls that were around my age. So they were like a couple years younger than me, but I got to see girls that actually loved the Lord and that were living this thing out. They were beautiful girls. And I was just like, wow, like there's people that are doing this thing that are around my age, you know? Like, it was just so crazy to me to see it. And I remember going to the first service, and I was sitting in my chair, and I was like, why am I here? Like, why am I here? I don't belong here. I'm so dirty. I just remember feeling like this like shame, this guilt, this like, I shouldn't be here. I don't know why I agreed to this. I just like, was telling myself all of these really negative things. And I know now that was the enemy. But at that time, I was just like, man, I shouldn't be here. And the pastor was preaching about the book of Hosea, still to this day my favorite book in the Bible. And I don't know if you guys are familiar, but basically in the book of Hosea, it is the story of this man who's a prophet. His name's Hosea, and God tells Hosea to go marry this prostitute whose name is Gomer. And he basically tells him, like, go marry this prostitute. But when he goes to marry the prostitute, she ends up like leaving him a bunch of different times. Like, she ends up going to have children with different men that aren't his. and it just was like this huge mess. And the reason why God did that was because he was trying to show a depiction of his love for Israel at the time. And he was basically saying, like, this is how Israel acts with me. I love Israel unconditionally. I keep going back for them. I keep accepting them back. I keep loving them. And they keep turning away from me and worshiping other gods and serving other gods and building idols. And all I want is to love them and to care for them. And it was just this beautiful story. And it was the first time that I had heard a sermon where I felt like the pages just, the words of the sermon just leapt right off and into my heart. And I was just like, man, like, that's who I am. I'm Gomer. I'm a prostitute. Like, God, you've loved me all this time, and I've like just gone and like done other things, been with these guys. Like, these other men have been my gods. Like, being in these relationships have been my God, you know? And I just wouldn't even give you the time of day. And I just remember feeling so shameful, so guilty, but so grateful to hear that word and feeling like, man, like, this word is actually penetrating my heart. After the sermon, the man ends up calling me up, like picking me out of the crowd, calling me up to the front of the church, and like praying and prophesying over me. And he was telling me things that nobody could know. I remember being so blown away, like, how does this man know so much about my life and we've never met before? He was telling me things that no one could know about me. He was telling me the future that God had planned for me. He was telling me promises that God had like planned over my life. And like, just, it was just such a beautiful Jeremiah 29:11 moment. Like, I know the plans that I have for you, plans for good and not for evil, plans to prosper you. And it just was so crazy because I had just been sitting in the chair feeling dirty, guilty, shameful, feeling like I didn't belong there, feeling like, God, like, how could you love me, and all of that. And it was just such a beautiful moment. I ended up feeling so filled up, feeling so good, bawling my eyes out at the altar, and like meeting Jesus that day, like right there, you know, and whatever. So it was like a 3-day conference. So I went back the next day, and I don't remember what the sermon was that night, but I remember just being a little bit more interested. Like, I was feeling like, you know, like my heart was more open. And the man calls me up again, and it's like he starts telling me these things again and going in, like telling me like the promises God had over my life, and just like pouring out this like how much God loves me. And like, it was just so beautiful, and the way God saw me. And I remember him telling me, God says you have a sweet spirit. Your spirit is like an aroma to him. And I remember being like, my spirit is sweet? Like, how? Like, I'm the dirtiest person in this room, the craziest person in this room. And it was just so powerful for me. And I really feel like that second night had to happen again to kind of reinforce what God did in my heart the first night, you know? And from there, I was just like done. I ended up like just listening to worship music. Like, I had to ask my family friends' daughters to like send me all the good worship music that they knew. Like, I was just enamored. Like, I was just like in love, head over heels with God. And I was just like, I just want to know more. I was hungry, I was thirsty, and I started to pray more and read my Bible more, and my relationship started to grow. And I was just like in just such this sweet place, you know. And even though I was still kind of navigating heartbreak, I was forming this new relationship with God, and it was just so beautiful, and it was so fulfilling. And it was the first time in my life that I actually did not feel empty. It was the first time in my life where, even though I was going through like heartbreak, I was filled with so much peace. I was filled with so much joy. I felt so fulfilled. I knew that I had a future. I knew that there was plans for me. And I just felt so good and connected with God. And it was just this new thing, and it just sent me on this journey. So that was when I was 19, and now I am 28. So I've been saved for 9 years. Next year is going to be 10 years of knowing the Lord. And it's just so crazy all that's happened in 9 years, you know. I remember just God like showing me, like, I've called you to woman, I've called you to encourage women, I've called you to influence. And I remember not seeing that for years not seeing that. And I had so many moments even within my Christian walk of like ups and downs and like making poor decisions, being rebellious. Like I thought that I was gonna, like, when I first met the Lord at 19, I thought that I was just gonna be like on this cloud 9 high forever, and we're just gonna walk this thing out, and I'm never gonna walk away. I'm never gonna do anything terrible. And even in those 9 years, I've still been Gomer in some sense, you know, like I've still had my moments of making my own decisions and like not doing things that are pleasing to God. And like a big one is like marrying an unbeliever who's now saved, and God's redeemed that situation, thank God. But you know, just so many different things that I've done in that time. And the one thing that I said that I wanted to avoid, I've still done. Like I've still not been the perfect Christian, and I'll never be the perfect Christian because it's just human nature, you know. Obviously I've been sanctified over these 9 years. Obviously God is still sanctifying me, and I've grown. I am definitely not where I was 5 years ago, definitely not where I was 8 years ago. I'm definitely stronger spiritually, and I have a deeper revelation and understanding of the Lord, but that came with time. So yeah, I just wanted to share that story because I know that maybe there's somebody out there that has no idea what this Christian thing is even supposed to be. Maybe you're intrigued, maybe you're interested. And the one thing that I would say is just like begin building a relationship with God. Like he loves you, he cares for you, he is so interested in you, like far more than you can ever imagine. And building that relationship with him, like reading your Bible and getting around like other Christian community and all that stuff, it's really going to be the best thing. Like yes, you're still going to have ups and downs in life, but that peace, like it can't be bought, you know. That joy, it can't be bought. That just that feeling of fulfillment that being in a relationship with the creator of heaven and earth gives you, it can't be bought. And I tell God all the time, I'm like, man, my hope is to serve you all the days of my life. I will serve you all the days of my life because you are truly the best thing that's ever happened to me. I can't believe that I did this thing without you for 19 years. I don't even want to consider doing this life without you, you know? So I hope this encouraged you. I hope you were able to see maybe even a little shred of yourself in my story somewhere. And I truly, truly do hope that some way, somehow this connects with you. And if you have any questions, please let me know, comment below. I would love to just get a conversation going in the chat. And yeah, so please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys back for my next video. Bye.